Welcome, fellow travelers. It's Mickey Gold. So, I know right now may feel kind of like the world's on fire, or we're in a drought, or a flooding. All sorts of different things are happening currently. Now, there's never an actual problem until we resist what is. And I know in times like this, that sounds a little harsh. And I've talked about Byron Katie before and the thing called the work. And it's true. And I have to say, I resist stuff all the time. So I know that's where pain comes from, is when we resist. So the good news is that it's only our resistance that's causing the problem. So if we're the only thing, our resistance, if we are the only thing causing our true problems, guess what? Even though that's a lot of responsibility, the thing is, that's a lot of empowerment. You are the only person that can change you. You can't change anybody else. You can't change anything going on around you. You might be able to if and only if you make those changes inside first. Because truth be told, who's going to listen? I know people do, but to a person that is completely broken, that completely blames everybody outside of us. Now, you might not have a problem with resistance. You might be surrounded by people who have a problem with resistance. You might know somebody who is a grown person who, it shouldn't be like this, and goes into this hyper loop that keeps repeating, and they keep feeding. There's that whole thing about which wolf you feed. Keeps feeding that negative wolf, that dark wolf, that the bad wolf instead of the good wolf. Now, that's the thing about negativity. That's the thing about blaming and resisting. And because if you resist stuff, a lot of times you blame. It's if you resist stuff, it just makes it so much harder. For instance, recently, I haven't been on YouTube for about 2 weeks or so, and that's because I am healing from being sick. And when I first felt sick, I resisted. Nope, I'm going to still teach my classes. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Till I got to the point of I could not move. I had no energy. I felt completely awful. I felt the sickest I probably have ever felt in my life. And I've had pneumonia before in my early 30s. And I just felt completely awful. And I could have, if I had not resisted, if I wasn't like, I'm going to still teach, I'm going to still work out, this and that. Now, of course, I was responsible in the fact that I teach online. I teach Zoom classes online. So, by the way, in the comment section, I teach yoga online. If you're interested in taking yoga, this is not an advertisement. This is just because I don't charge right now. I teach a Zoom class. I teach actually multiple. I teach 4 classes a week, and I'm planning to teach more classes. I teach yoga classes right now on Zoom, and I plan to eventually start teaching other sorts of classes because I'm a personal trainer and have all sorts of different group exercise classes that I can teach in formats that I have taught in the past. Anyways, if you're interested in taking yoga with non-judgmental people, all levels, all are welcome. Hit me up in the comment section and I will give you my email, and I'll give you my email me for a Zoom link, and I will send you one for class. Now back to the subject at hand. Sorry about that. But yoga is something we can do to help ourselves come back to ourselves. Now, when we're resisting, I've mentioned Byron Katie, I've mentioned the work. When we resist, we are usually, like I said, blaming someone or something outside of ourselves. It shouldn't be like this because this, and this. And before, I've mentioned when we kind of go into these conspiracy things, when we kind of go into blaming the government, the this, the that, the blah, 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 whatever the case may be, we totally lose power. Again, if we aren't the person that can solve it, who is more motivated to solve your problems than you? Nobody, because everybody else has their problems too. If you are not willing to solve your problems and you live with them 24/7, guess what? People who don't have to feel your stuff are probably less inclined to want to solve it. Even no matter how much they love you, they are less inclined to solve it for you. And truth be told, they can't. So, coming back to ourselves and finding our place to meditate seems to be, besides doing stuff like the work, meditation seems to be honestly one of the best things we can do, because we can do it whether we're feeling good, not feeling good. And there's so many different types of meditations. You can do an eating meditation, you can do walking meditations, you can do anything that you really bring a one-pointedness to. You can do mantra meditations. If all you say is something like love, love, peace, peace, when those thoughts start rumbling around in our head, if you pick a word and you're just love, love, peace, peace, that can block out those chattery thoughts, which aren't even yours. They might have your voice, or they might have your mom's voice, they might have somebody else's voice, your ex's voice, whatever the case may be. They aren't yours. And what happens, and I've mentioned this before, those thoughts enter our heads and then we react, we get feelings about them, and then all sorts of stuff happens. Sometimes they're biological, sometimes we can make ourselves sick. We don't need necessarily a virus to become sick sometimes physically. Sometimes when we just keep in that hyperloop of negativity, we can make ourselves sick and manifest sickness. And again, I believe in the power of healing, but I also believe in the power of doctors. So there's that balance to be had. But so we have stuff like a mantra meditation. There's always, meditation does not need to be hard. Find one that works for you. Go back to basics anytime you need. There's always the counting your breath, counting from 1 to 10. The inhale can be 1, exhale 2, and on until you get 10, and then start back up and over again. And sometimes you don't even need to go that many rounds. There's so many different breathing techniques as well that can help with your meditation practice. Now, there's a thing that I've been doing, speaking of yoga classes. And again, my idea was not to give an advertisement for my Zoom classes, because just much like what I do and everything else, it's for free. I just love teaching. So, but at the end of our practice, after we're done with the postures, we usually spend about 5 minutes in final relaxation. And so I kind of use like a hybrid, like meditation, hypnosis type of thing that I do with people. And one of the things that I do is focusing on the breath. And so I'm going to kind of go step by step. It's not that difficult, and it's something that any of us can do. It's kind of nice to have someone else do it for you so you can completely relax. But I have people focus on the nostrils first. So when you're focusing on your nostrils and the breath, we're not forcing the breath. You, of course, close your mouth. But you notice, for instance, one nostril might be more open than the other. You might notice the temperature of your breath. You might notice if you can smell anything. You might notice the breath on the top of your lip, which I know is not your nostril, but just noticing what you can notice. And I have people notice for a little bit with the nostrils. Then I have you come down to your chest. And I have you focus on the breath as it enters and exits the chest. Then I have you focus on your ribs, the entering exit of the breath through the ribs. And then I have you focus on your belly, the entering exit of the breath in the belly. Now, it's technically not in your belly, but your belly rises and falls as you breathe. And so sometimes I will go back and forth and say, okay, notice the difference between your chest and your ribs. Notice the difference between your chest and your belly, or notice the difference between your belly and your ribs. So just comparing and contrasting. And then sometimes I go, okay, focus on the chest, then move to the ribs, then to the belly, then from the belly to the ribs to the chest, and go through that whole cycle, that 3-part breath. And sometimes I do go back to the nostrils, but usually I'm having you focus on those 3 areas. And that's a really nice meditation. And the thing is, I do hypnosis, and I also do meditation. And they're, to be honest, they're very similar, and over the years things kind of move together. You know, it kind of depends on where I'm seeing you. If I'm seeing you in a yoga class or as a yoga student, then I'm doing one-on-ones with somebody, then I might have more of a spiritual and it's more of meditation. But really, hypnosis, meditation, they're very, very similar. And a lot of times guided meditations tend to blur that, because some people, meditation is just sitting there for hours at a time and there is no guided stuff. I personally would not enjoy that very much. I reach my limits of silence really quickly. So that's one of the things we do. And another way you can meditate or help yourself relax so that you can meditate or fall asleep, you know, kind of depending on what you want to do with your time. You know, for some of us, depending on how our life is, sometimes getting sleep is better than actually getting a meditation practice. It's just going through your body one part at a time, telling each part to relax. You don't have to be really good with an anatomy and know exactly what the names of each part of your body is. Just think about each part of your body. There's things you could do, like, you know, imagine it heavy, like, you know, warm, you know, sand on top of it, whatever makes you happy, and just go through parts at a time. So again, bring it inward, bring it back. I will try to bring as many tools and share as many tools. I know some of these are repeats and I apologize, but truth be told, there is nothing new. Even people saying stuff different, what I'm noticing from all the books that I've been listening to and all the things that the different spiritual teachers that I've followed and different new age thought teachers that I have followed, it's all kind of lead you back to very basics. So I hope this finds you doing well. Peace, love, namaste.